a potential massacre in Mariupol. The mayor of the besieged Ukrainian city says he believes Russian forces have killed more than 10,000 civilians, maybe even more. This as Vladimir Putin says despite setbacks in Ukraine, his goals for the military action will be met.
For more on this, let's bring in former Undersecretary of State and former ambassador to Russia and the United Nations, Thomas Pickering. He's also a member of the Foreign Affairs Policy Board for the U.S. State Department. Ambassador Pickering, welcome. We're happy to have you with us. So we are hearing accusations of Russian forces possibly using chemical weapons in Ukraine. If confirmed, how does this change the war there? And is it something that could draw a response beyond sanctions from the U.S. and the EU?
It's, of course, something that represents a real step up in lethality and danger. And the President of the United States said within the last 2 weeks that it would be something which would cause very, very severe results. We don't know what those are, and I suspect that the president has some ideas about this, but wants to keep that warning general so as he can do everything he can to prevent such use. I understand any such use is not yet confirmed, and we clearly will act if it is confirmed, but what we will do remains open. In the past, as you know, in Syria, where there was chemical weapons used, we used military attacks on the bases that were used from which to launch the chemical attacks. And that's conceivable, but at the moment, it's only one conjecture about what might happen.
Ambassador, speaking of Syria, President Vladimir Putin appointed a new general to oversee the war in Ukraine, General Dvornikov, who had previously been accused of war crimes in Syria. All of this comes as new images show a massive convoy of troops heading to eastern Ukraine. Do you think we're looking at a new phase in this war, potentially an even more brutal one? And do you think that military officials are feeling pressure from Putin to deliver results?
I think that they are, and I think Dvornikov is got the dot now for being able to produce some significant change in the military position. The convoy that you have seen moving is coming down from the north, from below Kharkiv, to try to shut off, it appears, a connection with the Lugansk Oblast area in the northern part of the region which Russian separatists have occupied in part for the last 8 years, and which has been the site of pitched battles and World War I type trench networks. It seems as if this will be an effort to circle around those and come in behind Ukrainian forces as a tactical maneuver, perhaps to try to outflank and at the same time avoid having to launch attacks on well-defended Ukrainian forces that have held out for a long period of time against Russian pressure. It will mark a new stage, but it's been announced that this was the focus of President Putin's attention. And I find it hard to believe that anything we do will protect that particular region from further attacks, except to continue to provide modern military equipment to Ukrainian forces, who have done up until now a really serious job of providing for defense. I'm not a military analyst, spent some time in the military, and that Ukrainian defense arrangement seems to have set back the Russians' initial goal of immediate occupation of large parts of eastern and perhaps beyond eastern Ukraine right away. And hopefully the Ukrainians can continue to provide for that defense. They've shown a great capability against large convoys of armored vehicles using anti-tank missiles from Great Britain and the United States, among others. And so that remains something which at the moment can't be, I think, pre-decided on the basis of past performance. But we are looking at it as a new phase that can change the situation.
All right, Ambassador Thomas Pickering, thank you so much. We appreciate your insight into the situation there.